Okay, let's address the actually far easier guillotine response to a takedown, which is against a single leg. Important to make the distinction here between single leg takedown and single leg control. Again, when we get into some of the takedown stuff, you'll see that just like with our submission positions, we differentiate between the mechanism of control and the mechanism of like damage, choking, breaking. We make a difference here between being able to control the single leg as a position and then performing the actual single leg takedown finishes. So what I mean is, we're here like this, and we're in a mirror stance where my right foot is forward and Rory wins the hand fight. He comes in, he knocks me back, and he takes my leg. So right now we're in like a single leg control position. This is where I'm able to potentially hit the guillotine. Let's just back up a little bit. If Rory runs the pipe and I'm trying to guillotine him, that's not gonna fly. I'm gonna be in motion, his posture's gonna be fixed. I've got poor base, so me trying to attack him is a really bad idea. But in the instance of the initial like control position, if I can turn my hips a little bit, see how this is disconnecting his head from my shoulder. He wants to keep his spine straight, keep his head in my like shoulder, armpit, pec area, and not allow me to move his head to either side. This is gonna enable him to use this frame against the top of my torso, activating it as a lever. So as he leans forward or pushes forward a little bit, see how I had to hop backwards? That's the circumstance that enables him to hit the takedown, because as my weight shifts back here, I'm now very vulnerable to my back right corner for him to hit the takedown. Exactly. So I have to reverse engineer that and utilize this knowledge to get my hips slightly sideways. Again, if my hips are facing him too much, not good. Hips slightly sideways, and my shoulder, it's almost like I'm hitting him with my shoulder. Ideally, I'm also using a collar tie motion, so I can shed this. Now, I can go to the guillotine on this side, but this actually makes it a lot easier for Roy to switch off to a double. So I want to push his head to this side. So I'm gonna be disconnecting first, and when I achieve that disconnection, my forearm is pushing into his neck, my shoulder is moving his head, I'm now gonna use my other hand to cover his head. When I cover his head, if I try to go forward, I'm running into a frame, so I'm gonna hop backwards, push the head down, and switch to the grip. So let's just go back for a second to this side, there we go. So I was here, framing with my elbow. This is allowing me to keep him from like, try to hit the run the pipe.
I can't even run that side.
Yeah, exactly. So this is enabling me to keep him off to here. Once I'm able to do that, I hop backwards, cover his head, swing it through, and connect my hands. Let's rotate again to this side. As long as his hands stay here, he's not able to defend against the high elbow. My shin is gonna block his hip, further breaking his posture. If my knee is caught right in the middle here, I could still attempt this and fail, because if his shoulder stays tight to my body now, I can't make the high elbow work, he'll take me down, oh God, and grind me into the floor, right? We got here, I turned, I disconnected, I snapped his head down, got to here, my shin blocked. This allows the disconnection. Right? His shoulder is trying to frame. I use my shin as a frame, get my high elbow going. Let's just rotate. You will often finish right from here. It comes on super fast. However, and we'll just demonstrate this once, when I do this, I am gonna drop to my back and throw my left leg over top. So I got myself here, I turn my knee in, hip in, and I jump back. Yeah, when I say demonstrate, I mean like, kind of, sort of. I don't really want to do that to Rory. This is a pretty vicious finish. So let's do this where just settle down to your knees to simulate the jump. So we're here. That's where I'm going to go. I lift my elbow, I hip out, I close. Alternately, and again, this is a little bit tricky to demonstrate. Once my shin goes in here, I can simply, like, rather than trying to lift the high elbow to finish, I'm gonna keep my arm where it is, and I'm gonna drop into a sacrifice throw and come up and finish with the high elbow guillotine from the mount. So we're talking about what's called a sumigaeshi in judo, which is often done with like a belt grip. You can also do it with a kimura grip, but it's very possible to do this with guillotine control. As long as this knee goes out, we drop back. We're not trying to crank while we do this, because it's gonna, like when I say crank, I mean, if I turn my partner's head this way while we do this, I'm taking a risk with their neck. So I'm gonna keep my arm tight, drop, elevate, His posture will be broken. He'll have to flip over. I'll keep my hips up, roll backwards, disconnect a little bit, and go high elbow. So let's just go through that from this angle. Again, we got here. I blocked him, snapped him down, protruded my knee, sat to my butt, flipped him over. You notice I used my leg to connect to his hip to drag me over. I create a little bit of space and then finish on the high elbow guillotine. So that's how you're going to want to employ your high elbow guillotine as a counter to the single leg. Super useful. This is probably the one that, again, like against takedowns, this is the one you're going to hit the most as a direct counter with a finish rather than potentially just sweeping or resetting the position. So get to it.